All right, once again, we are here with the Unsilent Church podcast, season 4, and our theme serves the city. I got some good people in the building today. We got my main man, Ramon, Pastor V. How you doing?
They can't see that peace sign you threw.
Oh.
Yeah, you got it.
But with less eyes next time. Less eyes.
Yeah. We got James in the building. James Bobu, creative director. What up, man?
What's popping?
It's popping. And then we got a special guest in the building, Giovannie, a.k.a.
Yo, I was going to get you some sound effects, and I forgot to get the sound effects.
You got to do the little bomb.
I told myself, I was like, yo, load in the sound effects for Giovannie. Like, load in the sound. And
I needed that. It's like coming in from
season 5. Yeah, I know. And you was dancing and everything. I should have put some, like, Lil Uzi or something like that. Yeah.
This is season 4, though. Just to be clear, this is season 4.
I'm saying I was going to do it for season 5. The next season. Catch up, John. Catch up.
Okay. It's a little late in the afternoon. Anyways, we got Giovannie in the building. What's going on, man?
What's going on, y'all?
We should say, what's his, I want to make sure we don't forget, like, where people want to follow you, all that kind of stuff.
Just created it on all platforms.
Yeah. He is an artist. He's a creative. He also did the murals on our in our parking lot. We got some murals.
Yeah, so if you go down First Street, it's not the big mural with the arms stretched out wide. If you go around the corner in the parking lot and you see those 3 portraits on the back.
The Black History Matters joint.
My man did that.
Sir.
Among many other murals. Right?
Among many others.
And
many more to come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
You don't hear about that. Well, yeah, so, we've been, of course, throughout the season talking about, trying to find different people that we like, that we appreciate. People have been active in the community, doing a lot of things that they do. And really, for every single person who's come, sort of the big question that we then toss around is this idea of serving the city. And particularly your perspective as artist, as a Black artist. Yeah. So you think about the kind of things that you do. What when you think of that kind of question, and maybe in many ways, just what you want your art to bring to a city, particularly to downtown Phoenix, but even other spaces as well. As you think about it, as you approach that, how do you approach that sort of that question of what do I want to bring to the city? How do I want my art to serve, to bless the people who witness it, experience it?
I mean, I feel like for me, it's like you kind of mentioned earlier, it's I really think about what the space is, who's going to, come across it, what type of people are going to come across it. But yeah, I don't know. Like for me, it all just depends. There's so many variables that's going into what each wall is. Now, half the time, it ain't up to me. Half the time it's somebody else's wall. They want something specific. Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, I'm just put my touch on it the best I can, the way that makes sense to me, that kind of still highlights me. And if I don't, then I'm not signing it and you won't know I did it. Yeah. But other than that, but the way I want my work to be able to, it's a wide range too. Like sometimes I just want it to look beautiful or immaculate or just very fine art-ish. And, granted, I'm doing it with spray paint. So a lot of times it's even just cool to be able to take on certain imagery and be able to paint it at like a high level of realism. So with spray cans, it's just kind of fun. It's just it's a meditation for me. But then also it's like it allows people to see what's possible. And then also, being a Black artist, I think just that in itself, I am representing Black artists, and I don't think we have enough Black artists out here, especially not in the street art scene. It's only like me and my homegrown Max. I'm like, and everyone else is always like, oh, well, hold on, and I'm like, go ahead, name them. I'll wait. Like, trust me, I'm in the community. Like, I'm heavy out here. Like, I'm always around. I'm always trying to, inspire new artists, whatever color you are, but I want everybody to know that, like, there's not a lot of us here. Yeah. So that matters, and I have to be able to, stick around. And kind of long story short, it's one of the main reasons why I'm back in Phoenix. Like, I'm not from Phoenix, but I started doing art in Phoenix. And I remember leaving. I'm born and raised in LA. Okay. Yeah. So I remember leaving Phoenix when I first started doing art, and I was just inspired and all. And I was like, man, I'm gonna go back to like my city and like check it out, because I feel like I had like this new lens that I'm looking through. And one of the biggest things that when I think about it is like, man, one of the reasons I left because there was no one that looked like me. I was trying to find people that looked like me and like wanted to be around. Trying to find your people. Yeah, trying to find my people type situation. So when I came back and realized that I got like a call to do the Black Lives Matters like wall that we did few years back during the revolution of war, Black Lives Matter situation. And I remember when I got that call, I was like, damn, like I'm that black guy that I was looking for. So now that's like my big purpose here. Like, it's like, well, I can't leave no more, because if I leave again, it's just like I feel like I'm leaving the city high and dry. And this place is where I found my artistry. So yeah.
So I mean, you mentioned a couple of things there. One thing when we ask when we start here, just your desire to use sort of spray paint and other things. I mean, that's sort of that's a different way of approaching it. It's a way of elevating maybe something that we think of in one particular setting, like used for like graffiti or that kind of thing. But you're trying to say like, no, beauty can come out of that. Like it's interesting things coming out. I mean, that's a deliberate voice. That's a deliberate statement in many ways, right? By saying this thing that can be viewed a certain way is actually high art.
It's a very explosive material, or what's the word I'm looking for? A medium. Yeah, it's an explosive medium. So it's just like, most people are not gonna look at it and be like, you're gonna be able to create this, and then when they see it, it's like, oh wow. And I'm like, I say the same thing when I'm done. I'm like, wow, like I really did that. So it's like, it's fun. It's a fun medium because it is so difficult.
Yeah. You talked about like half the things that you do, it's not up to you what you paint, but regardless, you still try to put your own slant, your own style, your own voice to it. How would you describe that? Like when you're trying to put your own little touch on something, just like you made that shirt. I don't know if y'all could see it, but but just like you do stuff like that, what's the sort of what's that thing that you hope people? What's that element that you feel like you want to add to any piece that you do, whether or not you have the most creative control or not? Like how would you describe that?
Oh man, I think I'm still working through that, but I don't know. It just always depends. Sometimes it's like an approach of I'm still practicing certain elements or abstract elements or realistic things. So it's like when I get into it, I kind of see what I can get away with. And then it's like, all right, or I can have that conversation with them and let them know why I'm trying to do a certain thing. But I think I'm still trying to grow into that. And I don't have it dialed all the way in yet, but we're working on it.
How do you talk to, just sorry on that little note, because we got young artists here, and I think I've introduced Noah to you. But for a guy like that who's coming up really young, still a teenager, he would say, man, I haven't quite figured out my artistic voice yet, or I haven't quite found my lane yet. Man. And a guy like you who's painting murals and getting contracts and
dope murals at that.
I mean, like your stuff is live. Like it's people can see it, people can drive by and see it. It's on some of the biggest buildings in our city. And again, more is coming. Like I hear the conversations like, yo, we're gonna use Giovannie for this project and that project. And like, and again, even following you saying like, oh, I'm that black person that I was looking for now. Like, can you talk a little bit about that journey of maybe developing or even forming your voice as you're trying to create this stuff that really makes the city better? You know, for younger people who are coming up asking you like, yo, you're the person I've been looking for. How do I find mine? You know what I mean?
That's I want to say one of the hard parts of it. It's a part like that's embedded in this journey when it comes to being a public street artist. Everyone, it's on Front Street. So it's like your work is out there to be criticized too. So it's like, there's the glories of when you do it right, when you mess something up or do something terrible or do something without even noticing that you're, putting some type of imagery that makes a certain community feel a certain type of way. I haven't had that personally, but I've heard stories. But in general, it's like trying to do, all this art out in the public, it is difficult. You have your moments where you're flying high and you're on cloud nine. It's all going great, and then you have your moments where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, or this is going wrong, or I'm still trying to figure out how to just be like not a starving artist essentially, right? I don't want to be a thriving artist, but then there's the business side, right? There's so many avenues to this journey that is not talked about, and it don't really come up unless you just surround yourself with other artists that are doing it better than you are, or you know, they're showing you different ways to approach things. So without community, it does make it a little more difficult. It makes it a slower journey. It's like, so like social media helps. Like you can learn a lot on social media these days, and people are posting basically all the tips and tricks out there. But at the end of the day, you got to go through it yourself.
You got to go do it. Yeah.
So.
Speaking of social media, a couple quick plugs. You want to plug your social media in here to let people know? We can put that on the thing too, right?
Yeah, we'll do it again because Ramon did that when we first started. But we got to do it.
Well, you know, you got to over communicate sometimes. You know what I mean? People don't listen like that. You got to
plug it again.
Re-explain it a couple different times.
I'm not mad at it. Yo, follow me on the gram. I just created it. My website is justcreatedit.com. Hey.
There we go. So you say you're originally from LA. What part of LA?
Sir, born and raised in Koreatown area.
Shout out to Koreatown.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you think about Phoenix, and LA is like a global city, right? The New York, the Chicago, like So it's interesting. You said that you started your art journey in Phoenix, not necessarily LA. So you want, I don't know.
He's like, how that happen?
Typically, it might be the other way around. Like I was inspired and I got in LA. But Phoenix, so talk a little bit about that.
So I grew up playing football. So that was my thing. And it was 14 years of football, man. I started at the age of 10.
What position?
Running back.
Okay.
Yeah, so your boy is fast. And I'm Jamaican, so, you know, Usain Bolt's my cousin.
Wagwan.
Wagwan, we out here. But, so I played football my whole life, man, basically. And I was just, you know, an athlete. Went to college out here at ASU. So this is actually, like, Phoenix is the first place I lived outside of LA.
Got it.
Gotcha.
So, going to ASU was like, all right. It was very much more empty. I was like, where am I? I was supposed to see horses. I didn't see any. I was confused. But so played football most of my life. And then when that came to an end, it was like I had to like really start exploring life again because there was a void. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like there was no plan B. Like most of us, you know, that go into playing sports. Like this is our way out the hood, essentially.
Yeah.
Ended up not going. Searched around. I ended up doing construction for a little bit. And while I was doing that, I jumped around, lived in Seattle for a little bit. And then I came to visit, and my buddy was living here at the time. So I came to visit Phoenix again. I was like, it's been a while. Hung out, really enjoyed it. I was kind of like, I was over Seattle, so I was ready to make another move. Moved out here for all the wrong reasons. I was out here partying and just, you know, hanging out, and then had a roommate I didn't like, and she was killing me. So I would never want to be home. So I was just always out partying. So I got lost in the sauce. And that, like, then my little brother came to visit me, and that kind of opened my eyes. Like, he made me realize that I was kind of wasting my time. It was like, what am I doing? Like, I had that moment of, what am I doing in life? You know what I mean? I had to, like, get back to that. Like, what's going on? Like, we got to refine purpose, essentially. So I was like, ended up diving into different visual art mediums. So it didn't start with spray paint. Like, it was just like I allowed myself to check out different mediums. So I did like some 3D modeling. I taught myself Illustrator back in college, which I didn't think was an art form until look back on it now. I'm like, I was teaching myself art back then and didn't even really like take it in like that. But just kept searching, doing different things, going to museums, checking out art, and just really embedded myself into it until one day I came across a mural that was painted in the pizza spot off of Tempe, off of Mill Ave in Tempe. There's a pizza spot with a bunch of like graffiti pieces and murals inside. And I was familiar with one of the artists. And she's an LA based artist. So when I was younger, I would see her work. And I was like, so when I saw it, immediately it was like nostalgia. I was like, man, I know this person. Wow. Like I didn't know her name or nothing, but I went and looked at the wall. And I want to say like a week prior, I was at a museum and some dude comes up to me, random dude. It was just me and him in the museum. And the art was amazing in there. So I was just sitting there just in wow. And this dude comes up to me, he's like, what you really got to do is you got to get real close and like see all the little brush strokes and stuff like that. And I was just looking at him like he was crazy. I was like, what is this dude talking about? Man, funny enough, a week later, I see this mural. And man, I'm sitting there just tripping like, man, like got real close, and I'm looking at all the spray, like all the overspray and all. I was like, man, this is dope. Yeah, so really getting to see, kind of, you can see the, like now I can look at someone's mural and I can see the layers and I can tell you what they use before, after, or what came first, whatever. It's rare that I could look at someone's wall and can't tell. But those are the people. Those are the ones you like. Dang, they doing it, because you can't even tell how they got to this end result. That's next level. But seeing that wall like inspired me, and then I was like, next day I literally went and bought spray paint.
That's crazy. So it all does tie back to LA.
It does. It does.
Because the artist was from LA. Because, you just happened to be in Phoenix.
It just happened to be in Phoenix, but it was that drum, and I think that's also what kind of made me want to go back to LA. Right, that was still there. Like, man, I remember my city having a lot of cool art, a lot of dope stuff. So
that's dope.
Yeah. So.
Do you have murals that you've done that are some of your favorite, and why they're your favorite? Like what they communicated, what they brought about, some of the things you've done, or another way to put it is like, what are the kind of things you are drawn to right now in terms of?
I like that because right now it's been me trying to, like I said, really figure out what it is I want to put out there. Majority of the time, I still want to be able to be like this very overall creative person that can kind of blend and do in mixed mediums and just be creative. It doesn't have to be strictly spray paint or murals. Like it's just, I love that, being creative in different elements and different ways, different forms. But right now, what's my biggest focus is honestly trying to tie in my athletic background. Like I want to see more sports murals out here. We have all major teams, and I have yet to see many,
including hockey.
Like all the major teams here, and we have like I'd say less than 10 murals that are dedicated to sports, and most of those are probably Suns and maybe Cardinals, but most of them are Suns. There's not a lot of them, and they're not big either. I know where they're at. They're usually all on small walls, like, and I know the big ones too. So it's like I'm like trying to figure out how I can get myself more associated with these brands or teams or something, or find the walls that I can do, start highlighting them so I can get that recognition and put them more on the map, because it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, there's so much like sports teams here, and none of them are really highlighted. And then also going back to just highlighting sports in general, it's where I get my fortitude from, man, my mindset, like my willingness to grind and push through hard things. Like I think sports is an amazing, it's just an amazing tool for all kids growing up. It teaches you teamwork. There's so much you can learn from sports, and so So
are you a Lakers fan?
I'm honestly, man, I'm not big on being a fan. I was just an athlete. I love playing sports.
Come on, dog. I understand.
But am I going to rock on my city? Yes. Yeah. But I'm also.
But you'd rather play than watch.
Yeah, I'd rather play than watch for sure. But I'm also in this city, so I'm gonna represent the teams that are here and put those teams on the map, because this is where I feel like I look at it this way. KD just got drafted, right? Now he's on, the Suns. So now he's a Suns player. He's Phoenix. I'm like, I feel like I just got drafted, man. I'm a Phoenix player now, man. I rock with the city I'm at. I'm gonna have fun. So love me the way y'all love KD.
Do you want to have you done like youth camps? Are you interested in doing that kind of thing, like helping kids get involved in sports? Is that something you think you might do in the future?
I can definitely see it, but it's like, for me, everything has to come from a creative angle.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's where my mind is now. It's just, how can I be very creative and put these two together? Yeah. So art, sports, all these little things.
I love it.
Yeah, just creating different opportunity and things.
Another big question we ask is churches, and churches are involved in cities everywhere. How churches can serve the city, and maybe to personalize more for you, how can churches better be aware of artists, serve artists? One obvious thing is to give space for artists to create, right? Yeah. So if they have mural space, like providing that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd just love to hear maybe some of your thoughts on that.
All right, this is a tricky one for me, because not big. I didn't grow up in a church or nothing, so
neither did I.
For me, so for me, it's just like I have the question of like, I'm not too sure. I guess, what is the church's purpose? Let's start there, and then I'll be able to understand where I can actually see where you guys can help, or what makes sense in my mind. But that's my question.
All of us can answer that. I know James wants to say something.
I was like, hey, educate me, man. Educate me.
James, what's the purpose of the church in the city? But keep it. Oh man, we don't got 20 minutes.
How do I explain this? No.
give a chance for him to answer.
Yeah. In the most straightforward way I can answer that is to say the church exists to help the world to get a better understanding of what God is actually like, right? And so God has revealed himself to people most perfectly in the person of Jesus Christ, his life, death, resurrection. And Christians are supposed to embody his character as much as possible in following him so that the rest of the world gets a better understanding of what God's actually like. His kindness, patience, long-suffering, generosity, care. Everybody uses love, but I'm trying to use words that aren't as ubiquitous or vague. But again, to just help the world understand what the character of God is like, to kind of represent the character of God everywhere people are.
That's good.
The and churches at their best are
at their best.
At their best. Not churches can very much fail at that. Is NBA is a great sport, but if there's some teams that play badly, right? Basketball is a great sport.
Yeah.
But there's some NBA teams that do badly. Yeah. Similarly, we think the message of the Bible, the Christian message is great. Some churches do it very badly.
Gotcha.
But
some basketball owners are terrible.
Yeah.
Some racist ones.
Yeah. But again,
churches at their best are not just communicating that, they're embodying that. And so by being involved in community spaces and providing space for people, helping people who are poor, who are marginalized, advocating for justice and marching even if needed, right? To advocate
doing justice.
Doing justice. Being hospitable, so providing homes and spaces for people who need it. All those different things. Having strong families and marriages where kids can grow up safe and cared for, that kind of thing. So.
All right, fair enough. I'm I'm not gonna have a straight up answer right off the back, but I'd let that.
No, but you as an artist, I think. Well, maybe you can just. One of the things I think when we met you was, I think I could say this. I wasn't aware of you until you did our mural, and since then, it's been cool to follow you. And I'm always thinking this is the kind of guy I want to know more about. This is the kind of guy I want to help support and encourage. And so maybe I'm answering the question for you, but but I would say I think that's I would hope is churches notice guys like you doing what you're doing, and we're saying, hey, these are people we want to be friends with, help encourage and support, and in whatever ways that we can, right?
Yeah.
Especially to the degree in which I think what you want to do really aligns with what we want to do.
Yeah.
And so, which is to say that specifically the thing you mentioned, this idea of doing beautiful things, providing voices for people, highlighting things that maybe aren't highlighted, and even that the technique that you use, I think is really, it sort of speaks to a message that we believe in.
Yeah.
There's something that's normally ignored, or even looked down on as spray paint.
Yeah.
We want to elevate that and say beautiful things can come out of it.
Yeah.
I think the message of Christianity, the message of the gospel is here's things that seem broken, people who seem broken, people who seem distant, far away,
or that people have used for the wrong reasons. Like graffiti was a tagging mechanism, and some people were like, "Yo, I'm just trying to." It was self-expression in one sense historically, in another sense, it was vandalism. It was just like, "Yo, man." Again, and so even people in the system would say or in the community would have different positions on that. On one sense, it's looked at as vandalism. They're saying, "Yo, we're trying to." We're not hurt any other way, so we're gonna make sure we're hurt, right? But to have something like that,
what I'm saying then is the same way that was true with art. I think in some ways, a church does that with people.
Definitely.
So here's people who are looked a certain way,
exactly.
We think God's beauty can be seen in all people.
Gotcha.
And an art is, I think, a way of telling that message.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I've always heard art is expression, or art as expression. So when you were talking about the church and how we should essentially express or represent God's character, when I think about art, if it's done in a really dope way, like you do, it's you could tell the story of the world, the true story of the world, through art in a real meaningful and comprehensive way.
Yeah, that part, the comprehensive part.
Yeah,
it could get too conceptual and get over people's heads, but sometimes if you are able to dumb it down, or in layman's terms via the visuals that you're using to represent it, it can make all the difference, right? Really tell that story. So there's times for it to be very conceptual and just be a little more fun and more heady, I guess you could say. And then there's times where it just needs to be direct. So all depends on where you're putting it, though.
Yeah. So you're really, the kind of art you do, you want to really make sure it hits the spots that it needs to hit and communicate the things that it needs to communicate.
No, for sure. And like I said, it just depends on where I'm at, what I'm doing. Sometimes it's just for fun. And I think that's another thing that, like, I feel like we're in a space now where people are trying to take art too serious all the time. So I get a lot of requests or people trying to be so like, oh, this, then I'm just like, y'all are overthinking it, because I promise you most of these people that are gonna walk by, they're just gonna be like, oh my God, I love the colors. And it's like, it's just real life interactions that I have.
That's good.
And I'm like, damn, like I'm out here killing this thing. Look at this technicality that's going down. And all I heard was, oh, I love the colors. It's just like, damn, but art is so it's over most people's head. You know what I mean? It only makes sense to me now after, doing it for 5 years. Now I'm like, oh, I kind of see, but that also plays a part. Like sometimes I'm just gonna do stuff that looks cool. Yeah. It's cool to me. Everyone else is gonna love it regardless, just because.
Well, this is where I'm thankful for social media. I think it can tell. Social media allows more of a story to be told. Mm-hmm. So like I've following you, it's been cool. You did something where it was like, I can't believe how long it must have taken you to do this. It's like all these different colors.
The bricks.
The bricks.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was fire.
Brick by brick.
Yeah.
I literally called that wall.
It just sort of that allows that kind of story to be told, and you see all the work that goes behind something that seems simple and beautiful.
If there's one thing you want people to take away from your art, if you had control over it, I know oftentimes you don't, but if you did, like, what would that thing be?
Man, honestly, it's just to be inspired. That's it. I've always started, like my whole journey started from just like, I just want to inspire. My name before Just Created was Just Inspire. So it was like the first name was Justin, last name Inspire. I might bring it back one day. Let's see. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was always my take.
Awesome. Well, Giovannie, man, appreciate you for you coming on to the Unsilent Church podcast. It was dope having you in the studio, man. We appreciate your art. Make sure y'all go follow him on Instagram, on his website, and all these different
hear
things.
This clearly. Just created it.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's not just created. It's not just inspired, although he just said that. He might bring that back. It's at Just Created It.
That's right.
On all platforms.
Right. Well, like we always say, man, love God, love people. We are out. Peace.